So Stephen Meisel, it wasn't like he was trying to be my best friend, but and actually I'll tell you who else was really, really there was a couple people that were really impactful. Another one was Stephen Klein. Stephen Klein booked me a ton and worked with me a ton long before I had had a career. And he was very, very generous. He was often tough on me, because I was always very physical, and I think he liked that about my body, that is sort of muscular, but he booked me a ton, and so I would work with him, and that first summer, I mean, I worked with Irving Penn, um, it goes on and on. I was really, really fortunate. Funny thing is I barely made money. I just did a ton of editorial.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you don't when the editorial gives you the money jobs, you know what I mean? But the doing that editorial was like
Yeah,
everybody needs that, you could be
yeah.
like other
You're
people
building your
were
book.
catalog girls, and it was a bit harder to get into the editorial.
Yeah, and so I was building my book, and luckily I got into the sweet spot on some things, and then I think the following year, so then I competed again August. So I was in New York that summer, and then I competed that August to December, and then I gave up my scholarship and I paid to play because then that January I moved to New York. So it would have been illegal to be on scholarship and gone to work. And I made a deal with my coach that I would come to summer school, get credits so I was eligible to play by NCAA rules, and I would be in Tallahassee for my season, no modeling gigs from August to December, but then I would work January sort of through, May. Then I go quick to summer school, one more month of work, and then right to volleyball. So I did that for another 2.5 years. And, people like Gilles Ben Simon took me under his wing. Um, Rico Pullman, who passed away in a plane crash, I worked with quite a bit. I worked a ton with Rico for Harper's Bazaar, tons and tons, and he made me the most Gilles always made me look like a really pretty version of myself. Rico made me the most feminine version.
Oh,
Um,
so it is like a paint.
yeah, and Philip Dixon, and he worked with me in a whole other way, so he would, totally go for that, like, wild kinda side of me. So I had people that were really, really generous to me and took really beautiful pictures, and I just happened to be in them. And, so I had great again, great fortune, it's not easy to do that normally, and, and they would be frustrated with me. I would go to Paris and they were like, "Are you modeling or aren't you? Are you playing the ballet? Like, which is it?" Because then I would have all these pictures come out and then I was gone and nobody could book me. I was booked out for 3 months. So in that way, besides my height and my lack of diversity about the way I look, I'm not a versatile girl who can go like this and like that. It's kind of like I kind of have a look.
Yeah.
Um, that was at a time when there were so many girls, right? And they were extraordinary. Like they would be with Peter Lindbergh in the desert, and then they'd be, in the highest of fashion, and then they're like Patrick Demarche, and then these girls that were so extraordinary. I mean, Linda Evangelista is like the greatest chameleon of all, right? So I think I knew really early, like, okay, I have a place right now in this business. It's only gonna last so long. You barely fit into anything.
Wow.
And then the balance was staying fit enough to play ball, but not getting too big that I actually couldn't fit into anything.
Yeah, like,
Because
I
as
don't
it
even
was,
that. Yeah.
I was a size 8 as it was, and for me as a size 8 is a very lean me. So, people worked around me and it was great, but then once I finished, I I I didn't know I was gonna play professionally. I moved to Miami. I thought, "Oh, I can work from there," and in Miami, I was like a killer because I had been in New
Yeah.
York, so those I was like, "Okay, yeah, I can." So I could work in Miami, and then I picked up the beach game, and then a year and a half later, somebody said to me, "You should really move to California and try to play." So I did, and then I went on from there, and then I got a Nike deal and on and on. So I sort of transitioned and brought everything together and morphed it together, and sort of took all those experiences and was again really fortunate to be able to understand just how to kind of play the two together.